Breaking news on the YouTube home for BamaOnLine.com. Travis Reier, senior analyst for BOL, alongside site publisher Tim Watson down there in the center square. The one, the only senior recruiting editor for BOL, Andrew Bone. Fellas, we've been talking about the offensive line position for quite some time now. Tim, you're on record thinking that if things play out like they could, this OL class could rank among the very best we've ever seen at Alabama. And a big piece to that puzzle, Michael Carroll out of the state of Pennsylvania, 4-star offensive lineman, has announced to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I think when you look, and I think, a couple of things factor in here. First of all, Courtney Morgan, the recruiting coordinator, he's an offensive line guy. And again, we say it over and over. No matter where you recruit, what area you recruit, you always go back to who you are and what you are. He's an offensive line guy. And then Coach Cap, I mean, he draws rave reviews when he talks to these kids. The relationship he builds, not just with the kids, although he does a good job of that, but he also does it with the parents and people around him. And again, this is a guy top 30 in the nation and on 3 rankings. I think other people will catch up. I think obviously some are behind, but I mean, a guy that's very talented, can project inside and outside with that position flexibility. And we use that term a lot, position flexibility, with what this staff recruits.
Absolutely. And Andrew, I know you've had a lot of interaction with the Carroll family. So I'm guessing this doesn't strike you as a big surprise. Maybe there's a little bit of uncertainty exactly sometimes when these young people are going to make those decisions public, but this seems to have been trending this way for quite some time now.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Mike Carroll's grandfather, who apparently watches our show on the
Hey,
reg. So, thanks to Mike
absolutely.
Carroll's grandfather, we obviously knew that that was happening, but that doesn't always tell the tale where a kid's going to go to school. But when he made that visit back in March, it was the first visit to Tuscaloosa. Really liked the visit a lot, connected well with the coaching staff, but they were behind. They were behind Penn State. They were behind Michigan. His father played at Penn State. His mom actually played basketball at Michigan State, but Michigan had been doing a tremendous job recruiting him. It kind of seemed like they were in the driver's seat, despite the connection to the Nittany Lions. But made that trip in March to Alabama, came back in April for the 8A game, and people will remember he ran into Landon Dickerson on the flight in Philly to Tuscaloosa, and him standing next to Landon Dickerson. We all know how big Landon Dickerson is, and he looked kind of small standing next to Big Mike. So this is an impressive kid at 6'6.5", 308 pounds. Guy, like Tim said, can play inside, can play outside. Plays like is ranked as an interior player, plays on the interior, but Alabama's also talked to him about playing tackle. This is as good of a recruiting win as there is in this cycle. Ranked as the #2 interior lineman in the country. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up #1 at some point. But this is a huge win for the Crimson Tide.
So, Tim, let's do that right now. Let's look at Big Mike in action. I think it's very impressive at the high school level what he does not only on the offensive side but the defensive side as well. But we'll see him here from a end zone shot at the left guard position, and he gets the tape going pretty nicely. Little counter action. How about this poor edge, this poor outside linebacker as a pulling Mike Carroll, and then you see him here on defense taking care of business too.
I'm kind of surprised that we haven't heard about Freddie Roach and Coach Cap, shirts off, Festivus wrestling for this guy. I mean, you see him, he's a legitimate defensive tackle.
Well,
He's a problem. And look how fit, look at him run those long strides.
quarterback just said,
The
"I'm out."
quarterback just made a business decision, a health decision right there. So this is a big
Smart
guy.
decision.
Hey,
Yeah.
watch him when he finishes his blocks right here. This is a felony anywhere but the football field. He's very physical, great kid off the field, but what you want to see, very nasty on the field.
Mm.
Andre Smith was that way. J.C. Latham was way. Some of the best ones were extremely nasty on the field, like you want them, and then good guys off the field. But yeah, anytime you see a guy playing both ways, and he's not just out there because he's big, he's out there because he's good on defense.
Yeah, he's showing some ability on defense, like reading keys and
Yeah,
not
shedding
getting
blocks.
suckered, not getting trapped, using his
Shedding
hands.
blocks, using his
Yeah,
hands.
stacking,
Yeah,
shedding.
he's out there as a defensive. Yeah, he's a defensive lineman when he wants to be.
Yeah, Andrew, and there's that edge to this guy. I know, again, you've had a lot of interaction with his family, and By all accounts, a super young person, but this is exactly like what you like to see, not just the physical attributes, but looks like some of the intangibles there. You see him communicating pre-snap at the left guard position. That's stuff you like to see right there.
Yeah, you watch the film and you start thinking, how is this kid not ranked a 5-star on every single recruiting site? And one of the reasons is because he doesn't go to camps, doesn't go out, doesn't get seen a lot. Got heavily recruited by several schools. Took an official visit to Georgia last weekend. Bulldogs were really pushing hard. They kind of came in late on him just because they had not seen him, and then once they went up and saw him during the spring, really started to push hard for him. Got him on campus last weekend. Took the visit to Alabama. Now, he was scheduled to take visits to Michigan and to Penn State over these next couple weeks, but Alabama did such a great job this weekend. I talked to his father on Saturday night, and he told me, he said, things are going extremely well, better than expected, even though they knew the visit was going to go well. And he said, as of right now, we still plan on taking some officials, but that could potentially change. So we'll wait and see. And then talking to him over the weekend a little bit more, you kind of felt like things were moving in the right direction here. And like I said earlier, huge recruiting win. I know Freddie Roach probably is talking to Coach Cap about trying to get him on the defensive side of the ball, but he's an offensive lineman, and I think he's going to have a tremendous, have a chance to have a tremendous career at Alabama.
Tim, you think about the visit weekends too. A couple of visit weekends now, and I'd say Alabama swinging at a pretty good batting average in terms of connecting with some of the guys that are at the very top of their list.
Yeah, the visits, and again, we're well aware that visits tend to go well. I mean, you get pretty girls, free lay of the land on the campus. You get great food, you get flown in, you get to hang out with your family, and meet guys you probably watched on TV. So we understand they're going to go good, but these visits are going well. A week later, when we're still looking for that visit high to come down, so we can tell these visits how they've rolled out the carpet. The guys have fun. You see them on social media. You see guys popping up again, not just for officials, coming back for unofficial visits after having officials, postponing an official so they can come later. So Bama staff knows what they're doing, and rolling out the red carpet, and it's not just the players. The players, they're teenagers. They're easier to impress, in my opinion. But the parents, the ones that are close to them, the coaches, all say great things about the staff and how they interact. And we noticed that in spring again. You're coaching your team for the first time, getting to know your player. I mean, you're speed dating, getting to know your own roster, but you still have time to shake hands on the sideline when they had 200-300 prospects come in. So they get it. They get recruiting. I think there's a lot of effort there.
Andrew, this seems like a region that's been good to Alabama to this point too. Latsier Brooks from that area, not too far away, Mid-Atlantic, getting up into the Northeast. Again, it comes, I guess, back to some previous connections maybe that this staff has had and really working them nicely to this point of the cycle.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the staff, and they obviously had some connections there. Coach Cap, recruited at Michigan State and knew Mike Carroll. He offered Mike Carroll last summer when he was at Michigan State's football camp. He even told Mike back then. He said, I don't know where I'll be after this year, because everything was kind of obviously went south with what's his name? What was that? Mel Tucker.
Mel Tucker, yeah.
He was like, I might not be at Michigan State next year, but wherever I am going to pursue you. You're the type of guy that I want in my system. And he kept his word. I mean, as soon as he got to Alabama, that was one of the first calls that Coach Cap made. It extended him an offer, and they were able to get him on campus pretty quickly. They're going to have another Northeast lineman on campus this weekend in Malachi Goodman, who's out of New Jersey. So they're going to continue to recruit that region, and it's been paying off well for them.
And if you look, you also add Colin Hitchler, and you add Mo Linquist, who is up in that area. So I know Colin was the one that had known Zamir Smith for a few years. So guys there's a little bit more that, than you think right off the top of your head. But yeah, it's been good to them in this class. They've done a good job of continuing those relationships.
A big hit, literally and figuratively, in Michael Carroll Jr., the outstanding offensive line prospect from the Philadelphia area. Tim, what are you looking at now? I mean, where does the focus is this offensive line class? You kind of you've talked about it for a while, the potential, the ceiling for it. I guess this just is one of those pieces that continues that confidence in that regard.
Yeah, I think it kicks it off. I think this is one of the guys that you were looking for. I think the whole time they felt like they'd have a good offensive line. And again, it's almost you're double teaming it again with Courtney Morgan and Cap. Both of them know what they're doing. Both of them know how to evaluate, but they're also great with people. That's another thing is they're great. So it's, you got a recruit who's building a relationship with Courtney and with Coach Cap. Both of them know how to sing it and know how to recruit. So I think that comes in handy. I think what we're looking for is official visits, how well they've gone, their impact of it. And again, you might get official visitor in June. Everyone's not going to commit in the next 3 or 4 days like, Keelan Russell did. And then, Chuck McDonald a week later. Everybody's not. But those, if you've done it right, that's in August and September. Those commitments start to come up. They remember that. And it'll still pay itself forward.
And that's why you need to keep it locked right here to the YouTube home for BamaOnLine.com. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we certainly hope you'll do that right now. Give us a like if you don't mind. Turn on those notifications. You'll get all of our YouTube content as it drops right here. And of course, your first stop is BamaOnLine.com. The roundtable, that is the place to post up. Everything you want to know about Alabama football recruiting, football, basketball, the Crimson Tide in general, the roundtable at BamaOnline.com is where everything pops first. Andrew, anything else before we get out of here?
It's another great week for Alabama. I mean, starting off hot, and they're going to have more recruits on campus this upcoming weekend. Some big visits, including Jackson Lloyd, who's another top offensive line target. I mentioned Malachi Goodman, Justin Hill, one of Alabama's top Wolf targets, also going to be in Tuscaloosa. So I know we'll be previewing that a little bit more later in the week, but it's a kind of business as usual right now. I mean, it's been so active on the Alabama recruiting front on BOL. So be sure to stay tuned to all of our coverage over there, and definitely stay on the BOL roundtable.
Absolutely. Tim, you got anything for us on the way out?
No, I'll be seeing you guys. Looks like we're going to be, what's that song? I'll be seeing you in all the familiar places.
For Tim Watts, Andrew Bone, thanks again for joining us as Michael Carroll, 4-star interior offensive lineman, can play some guard, play tackle. As you saw in the highlights, he can play defense, play anywhere you need him to play. Big pickup for the Alabama Crimson Tide for the class of 2025. Until next time, so long, everybody.